if we keep ignoring the science, we won't just be infertile by 2045. We probably won't even have a planet capable of sustaining human life. It's putting at risk all creatures, great and small, not just the human race, no. We need to, well, stand up and listen and start making a conscious effort to correct our errors of our past. What am I on about? I'm on about this. Global heating risks the most cataclysmic extinction of marine life in 250 million years. A new research, it warns that pressures of rising heat and loss of oxygen reminiscent of the Great Dying that occurred 250 million years ago. About time we started to wake up. But we won't. No. Not until it's biting us on our, derriere. The global heating is causing such a drastic change to the world's oceans that it risks a mass extinction event of marine species that rivals anything that has happened in the Earth's history over the tens of millions of years. Now that's what new research has warned. Now, accelerating climate changes, well, causing a profound impact upon the ocean's ecosystems. That is driving extinction risk higher and marine biological richness lower than has been seen in the Earth's history for the past tens of millions of years, according to this study. While the world's seawater is steadily climbing in temperature due to the extra heat produced from the burning of fossil fuels, while oxygen levels in the ocean are plunging and the water is acidifying from the soaking up of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So this means the oceans are overheated, increasingly gasping for breath. The volume of ocean waters completely depleted of oxygen has quadrupled since the 1960s. Theoretically, the marine life is suffocating. It's drowning. Strange, eh? Well, the environment's becoming more hostile to life. Aquatic creatures such as clams, mussels and shrimp are unable to properly form shells due to the acidification of seawater. Yes, they need calcium, which is an alkali. All this means the planet could slip into a mass extinction, riving those in the Earth's past. That states that new research published in Science, the pressures of rising heat and loss of oxygen are, well, a major problem, as researchers have said, and comfortably reminiscent of mass extinction events that occurred in, well, at the end of the Permian period, about 250 million years ago. This cataclysm, known as the Great Dying, led to demise of 96% of the planet's marine animals. Now, even if the magnitude of species lost is not the same level as this, the mechanism of the species loss would be the same, said Justin Penn, a climate scientist at Princeton University, who co-authored the new research. Well, the future of life in the oceans rests strongly on what we decide to do with greenhouse gases today. No, we don't need no more coal mines, Alexander Boris DeFeffel Johnson. No. We need to be getting rid of them completely. Moving away totally from fossil fuels. Not towards them, no. Now, there are two vastly different oceans that we could be seeing. One devoid of a lot of life that we see today. Depending on what we see with the CO2 emissions moving forwards. It's truly a catastrophic extinction levels may well actually be reached should the world emit planet-heating gases in an unrestrained way, leading to more than 4 degrees Celsius of average warming above the pre-industrial times by the end of this century. That's what researchers found. Now, this would trigger extinctions that would reshape ocean life for several more centuries as temperatures continue to climb. But even in the better case scenarios, the world is, still set to lose a significant chunk of marine life at 2 degrees of heating above the pre-industrial norm, which is forecast as likely even under the current climate pledges by the world's governments. COP26, for instance. Well, around 4% of the roughly, 2 million species in the oceans will be wiped out. That is a lot of marine life just gone. Because we don't want to wake up. No. We want to carry on burning our fossil fuels, buying stuff that we don't need, blaming China for stuff that we buy. Because they made it, but we still bought it. We're just offsetting our carbons. Well, that's all we're doing. Putting the blame on others. Well, fish and marine mammals that live in polar regions are the most vulnerable, according to the study, as they will be unable to migrate to suitable cooler climates, unlike the tropical species. They will just have nowhere to go, said Penn. The threat of climate change is amplifying the other major dangers faced by aquatic life, such as overfishing and pollution. Now, between 10% and 15% of marine species are already at risk of extinction because of these various threats, the study found, drawing upon International Union for Conservation of Nature data. Now, John Bruno, a marine ecologist at the University of North Carolina, who was not involved in the study, said that the new research appeared sound. But it differed from the previous studies on the topic that suggest species will mainly disperse to new areas rather than be completely snuffed out. Well, it is very different from what most prior work has developed. But that doesn't mean they are wrong, Bruno said. I think this new work is challenging some of our current assumptions about the geographic patterns of looming extinction in the ocean. Bruno said that while mass extinctions are likely from extreme heating in the future, the current impacts from climate change and other threats should be concerning enough for policymakers and the public. But they're not listening, quite frankly. Now, he says, personally, I'm a lot more worried about the ecosystem degradation that we're already seeing after less than 1 degree C of warming. This ain't great news, no. We don't need to look to a world so warmed over humanity, it's been wiped out. That's where we're heading if we don't sort ourselves out. We're already losing untold biodiversity and ecosystem functioning, with even the relatively modest warming in the last 50 years. Wake up, people! We need to start doing something more proactive. And we complain about, well, the stop oil campaigns. We complain about Extinction Rebellion. But is that what it takes? No one's listening. So people who are listening are frustrated and angry that it's still going on. That we're still falling down or rolling down, sliding down that slippery slope. That we are. Point of non-return. We can't go on like this. There has to be a point to which we actually start doing the right thing, not just by for ourselves, but doing the right thing by our children and all creatures, great and small. What can I say? Apart from please, if you're kind, click like and subscribe. And maybe that little bell icon. Because then you get one Fatty Feed in your pocket every time I upload another video. And I hope you're excited about that. And if you've got supporters, you can do that on Patreon. Oh, wait. Patreon or buy us a coffee. And the links are down below that they are. So, I mean, anyway, if you also, if you know of any other stories like this that would make a good video, why don't you leave it in the comments down below? And maybe we'll make a video on that as well. Crikey. So what are we going to do? We're doomed! The end's nigh! Oh dear. Anyway, ta-ta.